Welcome to Crown Hills Kitchen. Today we are making roux and ragu sauce. I'm going to start off by cleaning my table, make sure there's no germs or bacteria on there that can contaminate my food, so we don't want any cross-contamination happening. Obviously I'm going to be making two separate sauces, and I'm going to start off with a ragu sauce. Ragu sauce is a traditional Italian sauce. It's quite simple to make, very good for inclusion of vegetables. You can add meat to it. It can be adapted in many different ways, but that will be up to you which vegetables or which meat and things you want to be putting in there. I have my tray ready here with my ingredients. Essentials are onion, garlic, tomatoes. We've got some tomato puree, some herbs, and I've got here some salt. Over here, the very first thing I did before I started this demonstration was got my pan of water on to boil. Now you need a large saucepan. You need to fill it 3/4 of the way up. You need a lot of water because that pasta, when it starts to cook, absorbs the water and it starts to swell. If you don't have enough water and the pasta isn't fully covered, then you're going to find that half your pasta is raw and it's going to taste awful when you try and eat it. It's going to be crunchy bits and all sorts. I'm just going to put a teaspoon of salt into my water. That will help the water to boil quicker, but also it's going to enhance the flavour of the pasta a little bit. Okay, wooden spoon, I'm going to give that a stir. We'll know when the water is at boiling point because you will have big random bubbles that show on the top of the water. If there's bubbles around the edge, little bubbles, that's called simmering. We want it boiling. When we've got the water boiling, we're going to add the pasta in. That will then lower the temperature a little bit, leave it on high heat so it comes back to the boil, but you must stir straight away else the pasta will start to stick together and then we have problems with it actually cooking thoroughly all the way through. We want to cook the pasta to a point that we call in Italy al dente. That means to the bite. It means it should have just a little bit of resistance, but it should be soft enough for you to eat. Okay, we don't want crunchy bits. Okay, so you can see, well I don't know if you can see actually, but there's big random bubbles now at the top of my water. I'm now going to add my pasta with my wooden spoon. I'm going to stir straight away. So be careful when you're putting your pasta in that the water doesn't splash up. So just gently drop your pasta into the pan. Again, I can't stress enough, do not overfill the pan because your pasta will not cook. Okay. So straight away, I'm going to stir the pasta. When that water comes back to the to boiling point, big bubbles, then I'm going to lower the heat onto a medium low. Okay, at the minute we've got it on a high heat. That should fairly quickly come back up. In the meantime, I have prepared my work surface. I need a green chopping board because I'm going to be preparing my vegetables. I'm going to start off with my onion. You may have seen in the video previously, Miss Clayton was talking about not cutting off the root of your onion. This is half the onion that Miss Clayton didn't use from her demonstration. So what we're going to be doing, just like before, peeling back the skin and removing it. Straight in the bin with my green knife. Bridge and claw method, remember. I'm going to use those lines. I'm going to cut this onion up same as you would have been shown in the demonstration before, and, about 1 centimetre from the root, cut down straight from the middle and then around to the sides of the onion like so, and then back in this side too. Then we're going to cut that into little cubes using your claw method. Remember, we're leaving 1 centimetre at the other end. Okay, so that bit's going away in the bin. I'm going to put these onto my silver plate for the time being. because I would like to prepare my garlic. Okay, been shown how to do this before. If you remember, we've got the little tail end there and we've got the flat end. We're going to remove that flat end, which will make it easier to remove the skin. That can then be peeled off quite easily. I can put those in my waste management bowl. And then we're going to use the garlic crusher, which again you've been shown how to use before. Okay, so take off the skin. There we go. That's it. Job done. Using the garlic crusher, remember to put your actual crushing part in there. Pop your garlic in, flip that over. I'm going to crush this and put it straight onto my plate. Okay, separate from the onion. I'm not mixing the two together. There is a reason for that. Okay, and just like this plating did before, I'm not going to waste that last bit of garlic. I'm going to put that into my recipe as well. Nothing wrong with it, just add more cleanup. Okay. The other thing I would like to prepare before I go any further, let me just give this a stir. That's come back up to the boil, so I'm going to turn that down to a lower setting. I want to open my tin of tomatoes. Tin opener, you need to, on the tin opener you've got this bit here that turns. When I turn that, I don't know if you can see in here, as I turn it, you can see the mechanism working. This bit here is the cutting blade. You need to hook that cutting blade over the edge or the rim of your tin and then squeeze the two handles together. You'll hear the click, the pop. Okay, and then all you do is hold those two together tightly, keep it on a flat surface, and you're going to just turn that handle and you should see the tin turning around. Once you have cut that, be very careful, that edge is going to be extremely sharp. If you try, catch your finger or anything on it, it's going to cut you quite deeply, so be very careful. If you can't get that off, use a spoon to open that up, okay? So I'm now ready to start the cooking process. I've got my little herbs here, my salt, puree, and I've got a little bit of sugar, and I'll tell you what that's about in just a few minutes. Okay, so I'm going to use my pan. Now try and get a pan that matches the size of your cooker that you're going to use. If you've got a small pan, don't put it on the big cooker because the heat then just goes up the side. You're not going to get enough heat from the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to use this hob here. Put your oil in. You're going to want a tablespoon of oil into the pan. I haven't switched anything on at the moment. I'm going to put just my onions in to start with. So the pan is cold. We're going to switch on the heat and we're going to listen for that to start sizzling. Okay, so switching that on. I've got it on a high heat to start with. I'm just going to get another wooden spoon. So I've got one spoon that I can stir my pasta with to stop it from sticking, and another spoon for my sauce. Okay. When that has started to sizzle, I'm going to turn the heat down. I don't want to brown the onion. I want it to just cook so that it becomes translucent. So it turns from white and it starts going almost see-through. Okay, so that's called saute. So I'm going to saute my onion. Just before it gets to that point, I'm going to add the garlic. I'm not putting the garlic in at the same time because I don't want to brown the garlic either, because it then becomes quite bitter. Okay, so I want a nice, I can hear it sizzling. I'm going to start stirring that through now. And it very quickly starts to saute. Okay, so it just softens up nicely and starts to release the flavour, but we're not actually caramelising like we talked about when we made the fajitas. Okay, so they're starting to come translucent now. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit, and I'm going to add my garlic to that. Keep a hold of your pan, don't forget your pan handle should be tucked in, not sticking out. Smells lovely. Okay, it shouldn't take very long at all. I bet you can't see from there. You can see that your onions have started to become translucent. Okay, at this stage, now that they have sautéed, give that another stir. I'm going to add my tomato straight into the pan. So obviously the heat from the tomatoes going in cold is reduced. We need to get that back up to a good heat so it's almost at boiling point. I'm going to add into there a little pinch of salt. I'm going to put some mixed Italian herbs, okay, a generous pinch of that. That gives it a nice flavour. I am going to put in there half a teaspoon of sugar. Now the reason I'm putting the sugar in is because sometimes the tomatoes can be quite tart and tangy, so the sugar just kind of balances that out just a little bit so that it's not so when you're actually eating it. Okay, so give that a stir in so that all those flavours amalgamate, and then we're going to enrich the colour and the flavour of the tomato by adding tomato puree. Okay, so we're going to put 2 tablespoons of tomato puree into there and stir that in. Now, a ragu sauce is a reduction sauce, so what that means is there's quite a lot of liquid in there. We want that to cook off quite slowly. The liquid will start to evaporate, and then the sauce then becomes thickened and enriched and nice and flavoursome. Okay, so we can then let that, once it's come back up to the boil, we can let that simmer, so we turn it down to a low heat and we can simmer that off. At this point I'm going to move this sauce to the back because then I can work at the front on the other sauce that I'm going to demonstrate to you in just a minute. This pasta here is almost cooked. I'm going to show you how to test for the pasta in just a few moments. Okay, let me move this to the back. To test for your to see if your pasta is cooked, you'll need a fork. Get a piece of your pasta out of the pan, get it onto your fork, and then I would give it a couple of blows to cool it down because you don't want to burn your lips. Once you've done that, bite it. That just needs another minute. It's just a little bit too al dente. Okay, so just need another minute or so and then that will be cooked. What I've done in preparation, as soon as that is cooked, I'm going to be coming over to the sink unit. In my sink unit, I'm going to put one of these. This is a colander. I'm going to put that into the sink, and I'm going to be emptying the water into the colander and shaking off the excess water so that it stops the cooking process. In the meantime, I'm going to be showing you how to make the roux sauce. Okay, roux sauce comes from France. It has fewer ingredients in it, but it's all down to taste. You're going to choose which one of these sauces you want to wipe down my work surface, so again I'm not cross-contaminating. here are my ingredients for the roux sauce. We just have milk, butter, flour, cheese, and a little bit of mustard. And I know a lot of you say, oh, I don't like mustard. I don't like mustard. But actually, when I tried this roux sauce with the mustard in it, I have to say you can't taste the mustard. It just enhances the cheesiness of the flavour. Okay. We also need one of these. This is a balloon whisk. Okay, this will come in very handy to get rid of any lumps that might be in that actual sauce. I'm going to move over to this side of the room so I can start making my roux sauce. Actually, before I start that, I'm going to empty the pasta. So I'm going to switch the pasta off. I want to be very, very careful, okay? Holding the pan in front of you but away from your body, please. Over to the sink. Stand to the side and pour away from you. Never pour towards you. Pour away into the colander. Leave the pan to the side for a moment. You're going to pick your colander and give that a little shake. Get rid of the excess water. And then if you pop that back into your pan, then we're going to put a lid on that to keep it warm for winter. Okay? On a wooden board, please. Right, my roux sauce. I'm going to put in the pan my butter. Turn it down to a low heat. We don't want the butter to melt, to burn. Okay, because again it will be bitter and brown. Just as that has started to melt down, we're going to add to it the flour. Now the flour is a very important ingredient in this recipe because that is what the thickening agent is. And what is actually happening is that as the flour is cooking off in the butter liquid, it is releasing the glutens that are inside the flour, and the glutens are what are going to work together to actually thicken the sauce. Now that, as you can see with the flour, comes to kind of like a stodgy consistency. Now at this point we are going to add milk. I always pour a little bit in at a time because then it prevents any lumps from happening, and it's easier if there are any lumps to get them out. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of the milk in. We're going to start off by stirring them through, and very quickly you can see that the milk has been absorbed and it's gone back into a lump. Okay, that's exactly what you want to happen. We're going to put the next lot of milk in. I'm going to start off with my wooden spoon and then I'm going to change to a balloon whisk. Okay, so that's started off. It looks lumpy. I'm going to change now to my balloon whisk. Okay, as soon as you see that this has become fairly smooth, then you can add your next lot of milk. Okay, again the consistency now looks like thick mashed potato. We're going to add a little bit more milk. Okay. Now, once you've started making this roux sauce, don't think you can go off and do other things, because you'll come back and you'll find a burnt mess in your pan. Once you've started, that's it. You're stuck with this pan and you keep stirring, okay? You'll end up with a lovely, nice, thickened sauce. You can see already, look, that that sauce is quite thick. We just need to add the rest of the milk. So there's no lump. Using the balloon whisk and making sure that all those ingredients are well incorporated. So the rest of my milk has gone in there. And at this point, I'm going to be adding my half a teaspoon of mustard powder. Okay. I'm going to keep stirring. Also, that mustard powder gives a nice richness to the colour as well as the flavour. Okay, so as the heat is heating up the liquid here, the glutens are releasing from the flour, which is what's thickening the sauce, but obviously the more liquid I'm adding, the thinner the sauce is. What we're looking for is a nice, smooth, silky looking sauce. Okay, so it should run like this. You can see there's no lumps. Nice. That will then thicken up again when I add my cheese. This is your basic white sauce recipe. If we didn't want a cheese sauce, we wanted a garlic sauce maybe, we could add garlic to that garlic sauce. If you put parsley in there, that would make it parsley sauce. The white sauce is a very good type of sauce to carry the flavours of other things. Okay, on its own it is quite bland. Okay, so at this point now my sauce is ready, look, nice consistency. I can now actually take the pan off the boil. Let me do it this side so you can see better. Okay, turn that off. I'm going to put my cheese into the sauce and I'm going to just stir that through. Okay, keep stirring until the cheese has melted and you will get a really luscious looking cheese sauce. You can see already that's thickened up nicely, it's almost all melted in. Look at that, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to add that to my pasta. I'm actually going to halve my pasta, so I'm going to put half in my cheese sauce and half in my ragu sauce. So I'm going to put half in there. Obviously you will only make one of the sauces and you will choose which one to use. I'm making both so that you can see how to make both and you have a choice. And then just stir your pasta through the sauce. The pasta has quite an important job in this dish because it gives you your carbohydrate content, but its main role is to carry the flavour of the sauce. Okay, so you have there, look, your pasta with a ragu sauce. If you wanted to add meat to that, you would put it in just after you'd sautéed your onion. And then in this one, once we've stirred that through, this would be how you make macaroni cheese. Okay, now macaroni is a type of pasta. It just tells you the shape of the pasta. Okay, the shape we've got in here is penne. So it's not macaroni cheese, it's a penne cheese, but it tastes the same. But that is really nice, it's thick, it's rich, it's really flavoursome, really good sauces. I actually like both together, they work really well together. Okay, and they're exactly the two sauces that you would use in many different types of dishes, but you'd use them together to make a lasagna. We will show you how to do that next.